Gravity does not beg, it simply exists. And because it exists, everything else orbits. For a long time, you believed that love was a pursuit. You believed that if you ran fast enough, loved hard enough, or understood deeply enough, you could pull him closer. You treated connection like a negotiation. You offered your clarity in exchange for his presence. You offered your peace in exchange for his attention. But then, something shifted. Not because you decided to play a game, not because you read a strategy, but because your soul reached its limit. The chasing stopped. The mental rehearsing ceased. The constant scanning of the horizon for his signal ended. You stepped out of the race, and now you are waiting for the echo. You are waiting to see if he notices the silence. You are wondering, when the pressure lifts, does he fall away, or does he finally look up? This is not a question about him. This is a question about physics, about energy, about what happens to a shadow when the light stops moving toward it. Let us look at the mechanics of this stillness. To understand what happens to the divine masculine when you stop chasing, we must first dismantle the myth of the runner. He is not running from you. He is running from the intensity of the mirror you hold up. In psychological terms, we often label him avoidant. In spiritual terms, we call him unawakened to his own depth. But let us look deeper. The masculine principle, in its unintegrated state, defines itself through autonomy and competence. It fears engulfment. It fears loss of control. When you were chasing, when you were the anxious heart, pouring your energy into the gap between you, you were inadvertently triggering his primal defense mechanism. Your pursuit signaled danger to his nervous system. It signaled demand. It signaled that he was not enough as he was, and that he needed to perform to earn your love. So he retreated. He built walls. He went silent, not to punish you, but to preserve his fragile sense of self. This is the dynamic of entanglement. In quantum physics, two particles can be linked across distance. But in human psychology, there is a law of polarity. Action creates reaction. Pressure creates resistance. As long as you were pushing, he had to push back to maintain his boundary. Your anxiety fed his avoidance. Your need for reassurance fed his fear of inadequacy. It was a closed loop, a dance of dysfunction where both partners were playing their part perfectly. You were the wind. He was the tree bending away from the gale. But wind cannot force a tree to grow roots. Only stillness allows roots to deepen. When you stop chasing, you break the circuit. You remove the external pressure, and for the first time, he is left alone with the only thing he has been avoiding all along, himself. This is the critical moment, the vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum. When the noise of your pursuit stops, the silence becomes loud. And in that silence, he begins to hear the things he drowned out with distraction, with work, with other women, with numbness. He begins to feel the absence of your energy, not as a relief, but as a hollow space. To understand this shift, we must recognize that his retreat was never about a lack of love. It was about a surplus of fear. The unintegrated masculine soul often equates intimacy with a loss of freedom. When you pursued him with intensity, you unintentionally confirmed his deepest insecurity. He believed that to be loved, he had to surrender his autonomy. So he chose survival over connection. He chose the safety of isolation over the risk of vulnerability. This is not malice. It is a protective strategy formed in childhood, reinforced by societal expectations and maintained by unconscious habit. He does not know how to receive love without feeling trapped. He does not know how to be close without feeling consumed. Your chasing, however well-intentioned, acted as a confirmation of this fear. It proved to him that love was demanding. It proved that love required him to shrink. But when you stop, the proof disappears. The demand vanishes. The trap opens. Suddenly, the space between you is no longer a battlefield. It is just space. And in that space, something new can grow. He begins to notice that the pressure is gone. He begins to realize that you are no longer trying to pull him into your orbit. You are staying in your own. This is disorienting for him. For so long, your energy was the compass he used to navigate his own emotions. If you were anxious, he knew he was safe because he was the one in control. If you were pursuing, he knew he was desired. But when you stop, he loses that external reference point. He is forced to look inward. He is forced to ask himself why he ran. He is forced to confront the emptiness he was trying to escape. This is the beginning of his awakening. It is painful. It is confusing, but it is necessary. Without this vacuum, he would never have the opportunity to develop his own emotional capacity. He would remain dependent on your energy to regulate his own. By stepping back, you are giving him the gift of responsibility. You are allowing him to feel his own feelings. You are allowing him to miss you, not because you are withholding, but because you are present in your own life. This is the difference between manipulation and integrity. Manipulation tries to control the outcome. Integrity trusts the process. When you stop chasing, you are choosing integrity. You are choosing to respect his journey, even if it means he walks away. You are choosing to respect yourself by refusing to beg for attention. This shift changes the entire energetic dynamic. It moves the relationship from a parent-child dynamic, where you are the anxious parent and he is the rebellious child, to an adult-adult dynamic. Two sovereign beings, choosing each other, not needing each other. This is the only foundation upon which a true divine partnership can be built. Anything else is just codependence disguised as romance. So do not fear the silence. Do not fear the distance. These are not signs of failure. They are signs of growth. They are the necessary conditions for transformation. Let him sit in the quiet. Let him feel the weight of his own choices. And trust that if the connection is real, it will survive the stillness. If it is not, the stillness will reveal the truth. And the truth, however painful, is always better than the illusion. Here's the truth that often arrives only after the pain has settled. His realization does not begin with a longing for you. It begins with a longing for the version of himself that existed in your presence. This distinction is crucial. For years, you carried the emotional weight of the connection. You did the feeling. You did the processing. You held the space for both of your growth. You were the container. He was free to remain on the surface because you were diving into the depths for the both of you. This arrangement felt like love, but it was actually compensation. You were balancing the scales by adding your own energy to his side. When you finally stop, you withdraw your contribution. You take your energy back. You reclaim your sovereignty. The scales tip. The container empties. And suddenly, he is left facing the full weight of his own interior landscape. He feels the hollow space where your devotion used to live. This is not punishment. This is physics. When you remove the external support system, gravity does the work. He begins to feel the heaviness he spent years avoiding. He begins to notice the quiet ache he masked with distraction. He begins to understand that the peace he claimed to find in distance was never peace at all. It was numbness. We must examine this moment with clear eyes. The unintegrated masculine soul often mistakes isolation for freedom. He convinces himself that space equals safety. He believes that stepping back protects his autonomy. But autonomy without connection is merely loneliness dressed in confident clothing. When you chase, he feels cornered. Your intensity triggers his fear of engulfment. He interprets your depth as a demand for his surrender. So he runs. He builds a fortress of silence. He tells himself he is choosing independence. But independence requires a strong foundation. It requires the ability to sit with oneself without crumbling. Most men have never been taught how to do this. They have been taught to perform, to achieve, to conquer. They have not been taught to feel. Your withdrawal changes the equation entirely. You are no longer pushing against his walls. You are no longer demanding his attention. You are simply existing in your own orbit. This creates a profound disorientation in his nervous system. The familiar pressure is gone. The expected reaction vanishes. He is left with nothing but his own reflection, and in that reflection he finally sees the cost of his avoidance. He realizes that your presence was never a trap. It was a sanctuary. He remembers the warmth you offered. He remembers the safety he mistook for danger. He begins to understand that true intimacy does not consume, it completes. This is the paradox that shifts everything. He can only want you when he no longer feels he must run from you. He can only appreciate your depth when he is no longer drowning in it. Your stillness is not a withdrawal of love. It is an invitation to maturity. It is a call for him to step out of the role of the fleeing boy and into the presence of the grounded man. A man who can hold space. A man who can sit with discomfort. A man who understands that vulnerability is not weakness, but the highest form of courage. Do not mistake this process for manipulation. Manipulation seeks to control. It plays games to manufacture a desired outcome. What you are doing is entirely different. You are practicing integrity. You are aligning your actions with your worth. You are refusing to participate in a dynamic that diminishes you. This requires immense discipline. It requires you to trust the vacuum. It requires you to believe that if the bond is genuine, it will survive the silence. If it is not, the silence will reveal its true nature. Either way, you win, because you are no longer bargaining for your own value. The universe always responds to a raised standard. When you stop lowering your frequency to match his fear, you emit a different signal. You become magnetic. Not through effort, but through alignment. You become the ocean that no longer chases the shore. You simply are, and the tide, when it is ready, will naturally return. But it must return on its own terms. Forced tides only create storms. Natural tides create rhythm. If he does not come back, it is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It is a reflection of his unpreparedness. Some souls are not ready to hold the light you carry. That is their journey to navigate. Yours is to continue walking in your own illumination. You have done the work of breaking the cycle. You have chosen presence over pursuit. You have chosen truth over illusion. That choice alone is the victory. The rest is simply time unfolding exactly as it should. Stillness is not passive. It is an active state of being. When you stop chasing, you enter a new landscape. But the old patterns do not vanish overnight. The mind will try to disguise waiting as stillness. It will tell you that silence is a strategy. It will whisper that if you just hold this position long enough, he will return. This is the illusion of control. True stillness requires no outcome. It requires only presence. To live in this space, you must rebuild your internal architecture. You must shift from reaction to creation. You must move from seeking validation to embodying worth. The first internal shift is transmutation. The energy you once spent analyzing a silence was never wasted. It was potent. It was raw creative fuel. Anxiety and inspiration share the same physiological signature. They both raise the heart rate. They both heighten awareness. The difference lies in direction. Anxiety loops inward. It consumes itself. Inspiration moves outward. It builds, shapes, and transforms. When you feel the urge to check, to wonder, to rehearse conversations in your mind, redirect that current. Pour it into your hands. Write. Move your body. Design. Learn. Build something that exists entirely outside of him. When you create, you signal to your nervous system that you are the source. You are no longer a vessel waiting to be filled. You are the well. This changes your energetic signature from receptive to radiant. It is the difference between a mirror reflecting light and a lamp generating it. The second shift is narrative neutrality. The mind craves story. It wants to assign blame. It wants to cast you as the wounded healer or the abandoned lover. These stories are comfortable. They give the pain a name, but they also keep you tethered to the past. You must gently untangle yourself from the plot. Replace judgment with observation. Notice the urge to interpret his absence as rejection. Notice the impulse to frame his distance as a personal failing. Then, release the interpretation. Simply state the facts. He is processing. You are healing. The space between you is wide. This is not coldness. This is clarity. When you remove the emotional charge from the story, you remove the hook. Detachment is not indifference. It is the refusal to let another person, rhythm dictate your pulse. You begin to see the connection as a field of energy rather than a test of worth. This perspective grants you immunity from the daily fluctuations of hope and despair. The third shift is the most demanding. You must trust the vacuum. Nature does not rush to fill emptiness. It allows the pressure to equalize. When you stop reaching across the divide, you create a space where truth can settle. This requires absolute discipline. Do not peek. Do not send subtle signals. Do not test the waters with casual messages disguised as friendship. Every small action of re-engagement fractures the silent. It resets the cycle. Let the void do its work. If the bond is anchored in reality, it will hold. It will stretch, but it will not break. If the connection was built on illusion, the silence will expose it. An exposure, though sharp, is merciful. It saves you from years of gradual erosion. Trust that what is meant for you will not require you to abandon yourself to keep it. Integration is not a destination. It is a daily practice of choosing yourself. Some days will feel light. You will wake up grounded, focused, entirely untouched by the past. Other days will feel heavy. The old ache will return. The mind will wander back to the horizon. This is normal. Healing is not a straight line. It is a spiral. You will revisit the same lessons, but each time you will stand on higher ground. When the wave of longing rises, do not fight it. Do not judge it. Breathe into it. Acknowledge its presence. Then return your attention to your breath, to your work, to the life you are actively building. You are training your nervous system to regulate itself. You are teaching your heart that it can survive without external confirmation. This is the foundation of true sovereignty. You are no longer managing his awakening. You are embodying your own. This is the quiet revolution. It happens in the small choices. Choosing to close the browser instead of opening his profile. Choosing to cook a nourishing meal instead of scrolling through old messages. Choosing to rest instead of forcing productivity to distract yourself. These moments are the bricks of your new life. They accumulate, they compound, they build a fortress of self-respect that no silence can breach. The divine masculine you speak of will either meet you at this new altitude, or he will remain in the valley of his own making. Both outcomes serve your evolution. You have stopped chasing. You have stopped waiting. You have simply become. And in that becoming, you discover that the love you sought was never outside you. It was the very energy you were trying to give away. Keep it. Tend to it. Let it grow. The rest will follow. There is a profound dignity in stopping. It is the dignity of knowing your worth is not negotiable. It is the dignity of refusing to beg for a seat at a table where you are not welcome. When you stop chasing the divine masculine, you are not losing him. You are finding yourself. And in that finding, you become whole. You become complete. You become the ocean, not the wave crashing against the shore. Whether he returns or not becomes secondary, because you are no longer defined by his proximity. You are defined by your own presence, and that is the most attractive force in the universe. Let him feel the weight of your absence. Let him feel the gravity of your peace. And while he navigates his own darkness, you keep walking in your light. Until next time, stay grounded.